Live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts right now.
Oh, isn't this just a great and wild Wednesday? We are here and we are back in live. It's Jake the Snake Silva here on the...
I don't know what happened to Jake just now.
There we are. Yeah, hold on a second. We just got to end up getting the camera started real fast, but just give me one quick second, but we'll definitely be back up. But in the meantime, I know Darion will definitely get us up to speed real fast on some stuff here going on sports.
Absolutely. So let's get straight into it. Jake, let me know if you do want to bring Mitch up, because Mitch would be our guest on the show here, only on the Spotlight Sports Network. I am the co-host of the Snake Sports Talk Show, which is Darion of Spotlight Raiders Talk, aka the guy when it comes to everything Raiders, everything Spotlight Sports Network. And we're just waiting for Jake. Some technical difficulties is going on his end for some reason, why his camera just could not come up. I have no clue. So Jake, give me a thumbs up or anything of that nature that you do want me to let Mitch up here, and we can start on the topics as well. Money making mini me Mitch would definitely be on here. Yes, he will definitely be in the building. I know my haircut doesn't look this best, so I'll definitely look better with a hat on. Me personally, he got the cricket phone. LOL. I don't think it had nothing to do with the cricket phone Raider earn. I think it has a lot to do with Jake's trying to connect his camera, his webcam device to the StreamYard. I don't know what actually happened there, but we're definitely going to get into some topics here, ladies and gentlemen. And the first topic that we definitely want to talk about coming into it, so we definitely need to talk about it. So I don't know what he wants me. Let me just text him real quick and see what Jake want me to do. So I just text Jake right there. But just to let y'all know, make sure y'all go to spotlightsportsgear.com. That is spotlightsportsgear.com to go get your merch. Make sure you get your merch. Make sure you get your Spotlight Raiders Talk merch, your Spotlight Sports Network merch, the Snake Sports Talk Show. You got everybody that's definitely going to definitely for the holidays. If you want to get them a mug, a book bag, a hat, anything of that nature to support us, make sure you go to spotlightsportsgear.com and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to all the channels. We are on ASAP Sports Network as well, on their Facebook and YouTube. So make sure you go over there and support those fellas over there at allsportsallplays.com. So the first question of the day that I really have, and I'm just going to take over until Jake the Snake Silva come on, because this is his show. I'm just a co-host. But the first question that I have for y'all that's in the chat here is that Patriots, do they look like Super Bowl contenders? And I know Jake wants to get into this, even though that they did play Monday night against the Buffalo Bills, where they basically played Pop Warner football. They played Pop Warner football to a point where they just ran the ball all night. Mac Jones only attempted 3 passes. He was 2 for 3 for like 14 yards, if I'm not mistaken. But when it comes to him and when it comes to Mac Jones and his team, I got to give credit where credit is due. And Jake probably will agree with me here as well when it comes to it. You got to give credit where credit is due when it comes to the New England Patriots organization going out and getting the wide receivers, going out and getting the 2 tight ends of Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, going out and getting the defense that helped them get to get to where they at, which is number 1 in the AFC. So Jake, do you think that the Patriots are Super Bowl contenders? I mean, what do you think here?
Well, this is kind of something that, breaking down and just looking at the rest of the teams in the AFC, because we look at, and what's funny about all this is that I look at this when it comes to, and I'm going to try my best as far as analogies go.
But this is almost similar to how we look at it in the dating world, because everybody always loves what's on the outside. They do. The fact that they love the cool, they love the flashy. They like something that's a little bit more attractive. Like, everybody looks at the big thing because everybody's got the young head coach, everybody's got a young quarterback. And then when you look at New England's kind of like the smart, quiet kid that not a whole lot of people really talk a whole lot about. But New England is reminding all of the teams in the AFC. Because Kansas City, yeah, they've got Patrick Mahomes, who's flashy and cool and loves sidearm passes. But then all of a sudden, they were in a tough rut. Now, they might have picked some things up over time, but right now, Kansas City's kind of a question mark. Buffalo's got Josh Allen, and I love Sean McDermott, but even themselves, they've lost a couple of games now where there were a lot of question marks to, there's a lot of questions to be answered. And I don't know if I trust them enough to get deep up into the playoffs. The other part of it is, all these other AFC teams, like the Justin Herberts and all of the other, young quarterbacks and the young coaches here in the AFC. What's interesting about New England's got everything. And people don't really see that because there's not a whole lot of Pro Bowlers. There's not a whole lot of players that attract the eye as far as, football fans like you and I are. But all it comes down to is trusting your components. Mm-hmm. Bill Belichick, what's crazy about this whole thing, we all want to put away Bill Belichick for a long time. All because, and I guarantee you, last year missing the playoffs was what started the fire. They knew this is not us. We don't miss the playoffs. We make the playoffs every single year.
Right.
So this year, you get a brand new young quarterback out of Alabama who's now becoming a successor and is a smart kid. He's more of a yes sir, no sir type person. And he follows with what's given by Belichick and by Josh McDaniels. He only threw 3 times for 19 yards. That's unheard of. That's absolutely unheard of for any quarterback. But the process and system worked. And by that, they have the top 10 best defense in the league. They've been averaging at least 18 to 20
I think
points.
Top 5 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they've been averaging 18 to 20 opponent points all throughout this year. And it's telling you one thing. They are not that easy to put away. And Belichick does the one thing people haven't figured out yet, but he exposes young quarterbacks and exposes young head coaches. That's why they were able to beat. That's why they were able to beat Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley and the Chargers. They were able to beat a bunch of these other young quarterbacks. Even Baker Mayfield dismantled him and embarrassed Cleveland. So all in all, New England, to me, with the way they're going about this season, looks like a Super Bowl team. It's not about the players you've got that are Pro Bowlers. They've already got Super Bowls. It ain't even just about, the flashy kids that, they're getting at least 1,000 yards receiving or they're getting 4,000 passing yards. No, it's trusting with what you have. That's what has been in the mind of Bill Belichick. And we see this with a lot of legendary coaches. That's why I think New England right now scares everybody, because we want to put them in the closet so badly and just say, we need something brand new because that's what we are all about. But it's constantly telling you they're not that easy to put away. If you really want to dismantle New England, you really have to play fire with fire. But no doubt,
just to answer SC experience, they talk about no, they don't. The reason being QB play. My thing is this, Eric from the SC experience. Before this game, if you look at the last couple of weeks, Mac Jones had 300-yard games as a passer. So, or at least 250 yards to 300 passing.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, they didn't throw the ball that much on Monday night because it was implicated weather. And that weather really played a factor in why they didn't throw the football. But if you look at the couple of games why they're on this 7-game winning streak, look at Mac Jones' stats. He could throw the ball effectively. So in my opinion, people think that the playoffs might be different. I'm sorry to say, but this team started what 2-5.
Yeah.
2-4, something of that nature. And then on a 7-game winning streak, you can't say nothing about that.
No. And ultimately, it was all about getting to know the playbook, getting to know every single one of the players and personnels. And eventually this thing was going to click. But the good thing of it is OTAs, preseasons, and practices were able to continue. And that's what I think is what's big about not just them, but on all teams in the NFL. But they just so happen to have the upper hand. And what's funny is, yeah, Anthony, I think they did. And not only just worked on defense because they ended up getting Kyle Van Noy back. They got a bunch of other really good pieces. They let go of Stephon Gilmore that people didn't think it still panned out in the end because you're getting the best out of J.C. Jackson. So on that, then they get a 2 tight end set with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. So they filled a lot of the components they know they needed. Because these tight ends didn't even have to be pass-catching tight ends, even though you may need a secondary option, but you're more about protecting Mac Jones and opening up holes for the run. This is an interesting one, too. What would it take for to get Gen Z more interested in sports? Really, all it is, and it's not rocket science, but all you'd really have to do is you got to really pay attention to details because you'll see the difference. Sports is shifting. The nature of it is shifting because we all want newer. We all want like flashy offensive plays. But what did we learn in the last couple of Super Bowls? I mean, take for instance, when New England was in the Super Bowl against the Rams, it was all defense. Then when it came to Tampa Bay and smashing Kansas City, that was all defense figuring out Patrick Mahomes. And it exposed the offensive line. So part of that is it's old school infused with new school coaching. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Belichick is such an old school, chip off the old block guy. That's why a lot of these youngsters, they're going to have their moments. They are going to end up going through their victories and defeats, but only the best ones are the ones who obviously pay attention to detail and they find it's a game of chess.
Right.
And that's why Bill Belichick's been playing this for so long. It's not even new to him.
Definitely.
So we'll definitely shift over to another topic because it brings me up to this one. But we'll definitely also.
I don't know if you see the comment too about the whole Russell Wilson thing. I think we should throw that in there too.
I did. I really did. That's going to be interesting.
We'll definitely that's your guy. That's why I put it out there. That's why I do.
We'll definitely break down more of it. Plus, also we've got Mitch Kofsky, who's big time in Philadelphia sports. We'll have him joining us here on the show, and then also NFL Prime predictions as usual, as all of you guys love it. I know we didn't get to week 13, took at least a slight breakout, and now I'm fully refreshed. Mind's back in the right place, and I'm just glad to be back up on. And I'll tell you this, though, Derry, just before we go on to the next segment, but I actually got a really, really good surprise from my girlfriend today because it is 4 months of us being together. So, but we're going to be going to the hockey game Friday night. And you know who they're playing, right?
The Flyers.
They're playing the Flyers. They're playing the Flyers. And I am like, again, I'm excited to be back in the fortress, and I'm excited to be back up in the middle of and I will be definitely blogging, guys, so you don't want to miss that. But here's my other thing. Because I have been keeping up with this. So college football has definitely taken a shift in the tables. Lincoln Riley to USC, Brian Kelly to LSU. And then, of course, I honestly think giving the job for Notre Dame was the smart thing they could do. Somebody who was internally knows all of what the insides are. But my point is, what I'm trying to get at is not only just that,
right,
but the college football playoffs, everyone has seen now. So 1 through 4, Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, and Cincinnati. Here's what's interesting about all four of these, because let me just tell you this. In the last few college football playoffs, in the last couple of them since it even established, I mean, I've always treated the four as the wild card program. That's how I've always treated it. And it could be anybody.
Right.
But the three who have been the normal of going into this college football playoffs, Alabama, Ohio State, sometimes bits and pieces, Notre Dame, Georgia for one, Clemson is another one. So there has been 8 teams, 8 of those programs that have been able to make it into the top 3. And then some would either end up as a 4. And my thing is with Cincinnati, because Cincinnati, I mean, it's kind of like one of those stories that we just love a new story. We love something that's new in college football because that's what we live for. But ultimately, you and I know exactly where Money in the Bank usually comes from, because if we're talking Alabama, there's where the money is. If we're talking Ohio State, there's where the money's at. And a lot of these other top teams in sports and a lot of these top names. Nick Saban. I mean, this looks like I'm looking at this whole thing, and everybody wants to rant and rave about Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. But Jim Harbaugh, you have to think about how many times he has worked as hard as he possibly could, fell, and now he's in this position where they're number 2 in the nation. But the other part is, you look at Georgia, and look, I'd love to believe that Georgia is a very tough program, but we have seen Georgia time and time again.
Do it over and over.
Yeah, it's not new. The offense is so, like, it's good, and then the defense has had spurts where they're a really good defense, and then they're gassed. Cincinnati, you don't hear a whole lot of this program, but this has been a great story for them this year. But what's interesting of it, speaking of Notre Dame, they should not be at number 5. Well, but here's the thing about Notre Dame, what's kept the consistency is because this is what's going to happen with LSU. Brian Kelly is inheriting a tough program in the SEC, but has won a national title with Ed Orgeron. That's actually a good point. Georgia,
that's a good comparison.
That is a
very, very good comparison.
That is true. That is absolutely true. But when you think of Notre Dame, because one, like the moves of the head coaches, Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, they had their reasons. I mean, Lincoln Riley, let's be honest, Oklahoma, since he's been the head coach there in the 5 years, is what made Baker Mayfield, is what made Kyler Murray, and is also what made Jalen Hurts. And in times would make Spencer Rattler a top 5 draftee in the NFL draft. But the fact that things kind of fell apart with Oklahoma, it's not the same. And you figure a change of scenery would be better. And that's why I think Spencer Rattler is one of those names sneaking in. But my point is, everybody's shifting up all the tables. You know who is one coach, though, that Nick Saban always seems to have hard times with that I think is fun? Jimbo Fisher. It's funny we say that because Jimbo Fisher, like, he's won a national title with Florida State with Jameis Winston in 2013. I remember exactly how that run was, and he was respected as a coach. And now working in Texas A&M. I loved the hire. I thought, the SEC could be very competitive, but this is all just looking easy. Now we know how we feel about Alabama and their schedules because there's a lot of cupcakes, which I hate. I hate the fact that sometimes the schedules, this is why we need a CEO in the business.
Right.
Because knowing college football, we love watching it and we love watching the programs grow, be competitive, and at the same time, they're starting up to build up all these 4 or 5-star recruits and be draftees come the NFL draft. So this is why I think the interesting part is USC is going to get more competitive. This is not a rebuild. This is more of a reboot for Lincoln Riley. He's going to give everything that he can to shape the offense to be competitive, bring in a couple pieces through the transfer portal out of Oklahoma and other places. But they've got to be heavy on recruiting in Southern California.
Right.
Because that's what's been the biggest hit. And as I said in my previous show, I've watched CIF football. I've watched a lot of those high school kids. They are the most competitive. And a lot of these kids are choosing the top tier, like the top tier colleges like Oregon, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, all throughout the SEC. And then the Pac-12's got nothing, and that's it. So I think this is a good thing for USC. And for LSU, Brian Kelly's bringing grit. LSU is going to be quite the problem in the SEC. Not only them, but Georgia and a couple others. But it's going to take time with this because Brian Kelly's been known to keeping a team within the top 10, if not the top 15 in the AP poll.
My thing with the college football, I think is like, I really love college football. I'm really a big fan of college football. And it's making me lose love for it, just the way all this stuff is going on in college football. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I think a coach should not take a job when you got your team into a bowl game. Mm-hmm. I think you should be able to coach that bowl game and then leave.
Sure.
Don't leave before the bowl game. That's just my opinion. Same thing for Brian Kelly. I think he should have left before the bowl game. I think you should have played your bowl game and then you accepted your job. That's just me. When it comes to this college football playoff, I think it's a bit bogus that Cincinnati is number 4. You can't get mad at them because that's the schedule that you gave them. So they just playing the people that's in front of them. Yeah. Same thing for Alabama, same thing for Georgia, same thing for Michigan. But out of all those 3, Cincinnati ended up winning out. They beat a ranked Houston in the conference championship. They beat a good SMU. Tulsa was really good. I know that came down to the wire, but they beat teams that were ranked. Notre Dame was ranked at the time that Cincinnati beat them. So I don't understand how they still stay at number 4 where you have 3 teams that have 1 loss. So I don't know. I feel like it's starting to be really biased towards those teams that go undefeated, like the UTSAs of the world. When they, even though they decided to, lose 1 game. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you kept them at number 23 all year when they were undefeated. Why they not number 15? Why they not number 16? Stuff of that nature. I just feel like when it comes to college football, it's making me start to lose interest because they're not looking at it from a schedule standpoint. They're just looking at it, because it's Alabama, because it's Michigan, because it's Georgia. No, you got all these other teams in the country that's doing this stuff and accomplishing things as a football program, and you don't want to recognize them because you want to stay in the ordinary.
Well, and this is what, and that's always been and that's always been kind of the talk with college football. This is why I've always said that they need to have a CEO in place because the NCAA, they know that they're big time money makers. The second that they implemented that athletes, like all their memorabilia from pictures to, game day gear, all this stuff, any piece of memorabilia, like they know where the money's at. They know exactly where it is. And a lot of these top programs, but the thing of it is, and I agree with you, that's why I've said these schedules nowadays cannot have just all cupcake, games in these schedules. They should at least be allowed to have 1 cupcake game to it's like a break. They give you like a little bit of a break because we know that some of these low ends, and we're not speaking very, very low about some of these programs, but they're not in the top tier works like a lot of these other programs are.
Absolutely.
They're not. Like, and that's why I'm like, a lot of these places, and I tell you, like, think of, for instance, a couple of these teams. BYU, Boise State, Iowa State, Iowa, and like most of these, I guarantee you that the more and more of the better recruitments that they get, and depending on how the schedule works, they would be right there in the middle of the pack between 15 to 25. And they would end up, getting themselves up on the map. Because I do believe some of those areas in Midwest and even a little bit more down south, they're much more competitive. West Coast, like, this is why USC, this was a happy day for them. Because it's reviving the program, getting their recruitments in order, and trying to at least get these 4 or 5-star recruits from Southern California and even further and beyond. Like, you look at that entire California coast, that's where you want to be at.
Right.
But no, I totally agree with you. And again, but the funny thing is you don't see a whole lot of Cincinnati's. You don't see a whole lot of Cincinnati's. Hell, you don't even see a whole lot of like at one point, even during a shutdown, I mean, Coastal Carolina was ending up big, and then eventually they ended up going back to their reality and a bunch of these other programs. So it's like a one-year wonder thing. But I've seen how Cincinnati's program has been in the last 10 years. Like, I remember Chris Pike. I remember there was a bunch of these other,
Brian Kelly was there. He left for the Notre Dame job.
Yep. And that was because, Brian Kelly was doing his thing to building up for a big time potential job. And now it's getting bigger the second he goes to LSU. And as I'm saying before, like, Oklahoma is a hot job to take. But the problem of it is them in Texas moving to the SEC just is not the right move. Now you're losing one of your top tier coaches to USC to go to
USC,
Pac-12.
right?
Yep. And so it's like, it's kind of a bad move in the works.
Now it just bites them in the behind now, because now you got to bring in a coach that, that has a sophomore quarterback in Caleb Williams that's going to be there. The whole situation with Spencer Rattler. We talked about that on ASAP in the morning about the transfer portal, and do y'all think he should stay and everything of that nature?
Well, and this is my thing, though, because now with Lincoln Riley being up in USC, I feel like there's a connection where Spencer Rattler might enter that transfer portal and he'll end up joining Lincoln over there.
That's the thing, though, because when it comes to Spencer Rattler, right? Just because you're transferring to another team doesn't mean it's guaranteed that you're going to be the starting quarterback. So you really got to make your choice wisely, because now, mind you, the number one quarterback in the nation decommitted to Oklahoma because of Lincoln Riley, and now he's going to USC.
Yeah.
So now he's a freshman that might want to take that spot. And then you want to go get a Spencer Rattler in the transfer portal. What if Spencer Rattler don't outplay the freshman? Then what do you do next?
Then at that point, then Spencer Rattler just completely hit a wall. He's completely hit a wall in his production and his potential and where he wants to be. Because ultimately, like, people are saying that Spencer Rattler is still like a number one overall talent. But the fact that the production, he got sat, and then all these other games that he's dropped duds in, like, it's going to completely just annihilate his production. So that's why I feel like him answering the transfer portal. Think of it this way: I think of it this like when I saw Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts was not like, you watched that national championship game against Georgia, like, not even in sync. Wasn't even like completely in sync. He gets benched for Tua Tagovailoa, and they completely annihilated Georgia. They then just turn it around in the second half. And then Jalen Hurts transfers to Oklahoma and learns Lincoln Riley's philosophy in offense. And then he's there and he gets drafted by Philadelphia, which even that offense now is starting to get better. And we'll have Mitch Kofsky to explain.
But you got to think about it too. When Jalen Hurts got transferred to Oklahoma, who was the quarterback for Oklahoma? Baker Mayfield was on his way out. So they
not only that, but Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray ended up,
that's what I'm saying. Like, so Jalen Hurts went into a situation where he knew that he could come in and be the starting quarterback. Unlike Spencer Rattler, he don't know if he's going to come in being the starting quarterback if he goes to USC.
That's true. But the thing of it is too, like, and this is kind of my thought, because it can work in two different avenues. If he does go into that transfer portal and he gets picked up by USC, not saying it's a guarantee, because of course, you think about it, you got you got basically spring football around the corner. So there's going to be times where you're going to have practice scrimmage games. And the only thing that people are going to pay attention to is, can Spencer Rattler rebound himself? Now, they can work this one way or the other, because apparently in college football, people love split quarterbacks for whatever reason. Like, you have your guaranteed quarterback that's playing well, and you don't want to like completely get him out of sync. But then there's also some that they're splitting quarterbacks. So this could be a situation USC could do, but again, it could be it could be one of two avenues. It could either work really well for him, or he'll get out, he'll get beat out on the on that job by the freshman, and then, USC, and again, ultimately, Lincoln Riley's there for one reason, to getting USC out of this this funk that they've been in for the last couple of years, ever since the Pete Carroll era. And
Right.
so he's going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. But we got a lot to talk about as far as, what's been going on with, the NBA and such. And of course, we know we've got somebody here that definitely talks a whole lot about Philadelphia sports when it comes to the Eagles, when it comes to the Sixers, and he's one of our best trustworthy colleagues here on the Spotlight Sports Network. And joining me now on the Global Satellite Network presented by StreamYard is our very own Mitch Kofsky coming up on here. Mitch, definitely cam up, buddy.
There we go.
I know you've been waiting a long time back there, but I know that's how we have to start off the show over here. It's a little bit different than what we do on the network,
Yeah, very professional. I was on this once, back in the day.
All righty.
Yeah.
So, Mitch, apparently rumors are heating up right now with the Portland Trailblazers as far as what is fate in store for Damian Lillard. I've said this several times. He's going to want to go to a competitor. I think he's got so much talent, so much potential that the last thing you want to do is waste away all of that, and almost like a Kemba Walker situation, he's got nothing left. So, I mean, what exactly can the Sixers really do? Because knowing the position that they are in with the Ben Simmons thing, could Damian Lillard is something that Philadelphia is trying to put into the works to maybe potentially sneak their way into the Damian Lillard sweepstakes?
Before we get into that, I don't know if Mitch saw the Bleacher Report that came out today about Damian Lillard saying that he's not asking for a trade. He did this. The star player did say he shut down the rumors saying that the ish is not accurate. That's what he tweeted.
Okay.
So I mean, before you talk about Damian, like starting to heat up again about Damian going to the Sixers, and he tweets out that he even actually have it's a video of him stating that. I mean, I don't know if y'all want to hear it, but I mean, just let me know. I can play it real quick.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. It's the first time I'm hearing it.
Okay. Let me turn this up real quick. Let me start this from the beginning.
Anytime you desire it, it's a compliment, and a good feeling. But I don't really think about, who wants chaos for our organization or anything like that. I've been here for 10 years, and I'm trying to be a part of the solution. We are here to do a job. We are here to try to win big. And I feel like that's something that I'm here to do, and I'm just trying to be a part of the solution. I'm not trying to be a part of the gossip and a part of the story. I just want to be at peace and try to do my job to the best of my ability, and do the things that I care about and that I'm passionate about, and that's what I'm trying to do. So everything else is just what it is. The trade rumors are, to me, just knowing the truth about things, that gives me peace. I think this summer when I was, kind of more outspoken than normal or than usual about, really wanting to have a chance to compete and us making changes, I think people looked at that as a typical thing, like, oh, he's going to ask out and all these things. But, I was always in contact with the team, and, they knew my true feelings. And I think because of that, now that we off to a slow start, we struggling and we've had some commotion around our team, everybody's just speaking for me. Oh, Dame's going to ask out. Dame is waiting for it to see how it goes. And Dame is, but, I know the truth. This article came out this summer, somebody I know from a source that was at Dame's birthday party in Vegas that said in 2 days he's going to ask for a trade. And I'm like, that wasn't said because I'm not asking for a trade. You know what I'm saying? Here we are months and months later. I'm still in the same uniform, and nobody has said nothing to this dude. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to answer. So that's why they feel free to report whatever they're going to report, because they have to answer questions about it. So
Yeah.
So
and this is the only thing though, because look, players know that they can speak out exactly what is true, what is false, but all of these decisions are based upon the front office.
Mhm.
It has to. That's why players have agents. That's why, you have a general manager in these positions. And again, we know in this new realm that we're in with the social media and how people kind of leak out a lot of these rumors.
right.
But of course, nothing's being said that a lot of these rumors are false, like they're falsified.
Well,
And
he did say
He
it. Jake.
kind of did say that.
He kind of did say it. He said that somebody went back and said that Damian Lillard was asking for a trade, and he said right there, point blank, period, that he was not asking for a trade.
right, but at the same time, though, too, I mean, I'm more of the person that I'm like, I'm a wait and see type of person, and you may say some of the things, but then of course something else may end up happening like next week or next month that Damian Lillard just got traded to here and then becomes a complete curveball. Like we've seen this all the time. We've seen this in a lot of these players. They'll say that there's not really a trade in place. It's all falsified and all this, but then the organization makes the move. Damian Lillard's headed here. And
well, I mean, that's going to be an organization move. It's not going to really be a Damian Lillard move.
Right.
Damian Lillard wants to stay in Portland.
Yeah, Dame's very loyal.
What I've heard, he wants to stay in Portland, but if he does get traded, it's not going to be his fault that he got traded. It's going to be Portland's fault if he gets traded.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But let's just hypothetically speak that if this is a potential somewhere, right, because we know that, Philadelphia, they're through with it with Ben Simmons. They need shooters. They need guys that could really, complement Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris, and even as well as, Tyrese Maxey and many others. So, do you kind of think that there are assets that Philadelphia may put in place if something was like this to happen?
Yes, we do have assets. We do have valuable players off our bench. Like we do have Thibault, we do have Maxey, and we do have Sig Milton. But I don't know if we actually want to give up our bench for that. Maybe people are saying on Twitter, Tobias Harris, throw Tobias Harris in there, and I'm like, all right, maybe. But it's just like it is what it is. But
I wouldn't want to throw Tobias Harris in there because now that just put Damian in another situation where who's going to be his number two. So I don't know what people are talking about on Twitter. You got to think about it. Dame comes to Philly, you get rid of Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey. What does Dame have? He's right back in Portland all over again.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll have Embiid, one of the best centers in the league.
But like he has in Portland, he has CJ McCollum. What else do he have?
Yeah. Well, CJ McCollum.
You get what I'm saying? So it's just like it's kind of like the same scenario. If we give up Tyrese Maxey, we get up Matisse Thybulle, we give up Tobias Harris. I think Tobias Harris and Damian Lillard will work together better than separate, in my opinion.
True.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
And this is kind of where, we know that obviously when it comes to the trade deadline, there's going to be a bunch of moves being made. And I know that time is ticking right now for Philadelphia when it comes to Ben Simmons, because how much can they really, offer, and at the same time, what they could receive back in these instances, because they just want the drama to be done. They just want all of this to just be over and done with. Now, it is interesting too. Like I kind of find this to be very like, if in fact there is a deal in place where you can get Ben Simmons out, what exactly could be a good destination to really kind of get Ben Simmons out there? Because to me personally, I've always said Golden State, because if there's anybody that could really, get him out of this type of funk where still he's a fantastic defender. We know that for sure. And he could play up real good ISO ball, but at times you got to fix up his shooting. What are your thoughts?
Of course, we got to fix up his shooting. That's the first thing. But for the teams, I mean, I've been hearing Sacramento, I've been hearing Portland. I've been hearing the Warriors. Like, there's plenty of teams out there that are good for Ben Simmons and what he can do. But here's the thing. Are they going to want him to play, like, 4-on-5 basketball again? Like, people are looking at that each time he has the ball and he's wide open. And it's just like, who's going to want that on their team? It's going to hurt them offensively. It's basically what we went with. So that's just me. Who's going to want that?
Yeah, it's true because, I mean, how much of that are they really going to, really tamper with? And what is it that they're not going to really tolerate? That's why I think like Golden State would have been interesting because of the fact of like they basically sprung out of the ground Andrew Wiggins' potential because of the fact of we've waited for years in Minnesota to seeing him play really, really well. And there's been times he's played good and then just falls apart. And he hadn't played a lot of his production since his rookie season. So now in Golden State, it's completely different. So if Ben came to the Warriors, it would be a match made in heaven. He could be a true facilitator and not be required to. That's the thought. They probably wouldn't even need him to shoot. So I feel like that kind of destination from there, whether you do or you don't, I feel like he would just be, a very good serviceable defender. Somebody that even if you throw in like a Draymond Green in the middle of the mix or something like that, then at least they do have some type of defender there.
Yeah, but I don't think he's the type of defender that Draymond Green is. Draymond Green could do certain things on the offensive side that Ben Simmons can't do. So you're taking that offensive side of Draymond Green away and putting Ben Simmons there, and Ben Simmons is not going to give you that move without the basketball or get you those type of assists that Draymond Green does. Draymond Green, even though I'm not really a big fan of him either, but I got to give respect where respect is due. Draymond Green does attempt to make shots. He does attempt to shoot, and he does attempt to score. That's the difference between Ben Simmons and Draymond Green. And then Draymond Green is not a selfish player. That guy can have 13 rebounds and 13 assists with only 6 points and still contribute in a win. Something that Ben Simmons can't do.
That's true. And again, you kind of have to weigh it out because the one thing like Draymond, the only thing that kills me so much is just the amount of fouls that he gets every game. Like that's the one thing that does kill me.
I agree. But that's where you see that you have like Looney coming off the bench, and then now you have Wiseman going to come back after he comes off an injury. So they do have those backups. That's one thing I can say about the Warriors this year. They did reload their roster.
Oh yeah, they did.
Oh yeah.
And I mean this was the thing was because eventually Golden State was going to want to get back into their ways. They were going to end up being a competitive team. Now, could it be a potential NBA Finals team? We don't know yet. But
Warriors?
Oh yeah.
I think they are.
They are
NBA Finals contender.
Well, remember
and they're getting Clay back.
But remember this though too, because a lot of those potentials is health. Because again, you are getting Klay Thompson back, but we hadn't seen him on the court now in the last 2 seasons.
But he has been practicing with the team, so that's a good start.
He's been playing in G League.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm like, I'm kind of leaving that door like partially
wide open, being
partially, just being optimistic about it. But speaking of Philadelphia, we'll shift over to the Philadelphia Eagles because aren't people in Philadelphia crazy about this Minshew mania? After a big time win. So, of course, and again, I understand, the fact of this was why I said before that Gardner Minshew, like a bunch of other serviceable quarterbacks, is a guy you can trust that can really lead an offense well and could win just the games that are necessary. In Philadelphia's position, because of where they are right now in the NFC East, the Cowboys right now, they're kind of slowing down. And they haven't really played a whole lot of this ground and pound football, which has really changed. What are the potentials right now for Philadelphia to possibly sneak their way in and maybe spoil some hopes on the Dallas Cowboys?
To me, it comes with the defense. The defense is not that good. I mean, we let up 18 points to the Jets, and time again with this Jonathan Gannon, our defensive coordinator, he's not doing the right sculpt. He's not doing blitzes. He's keep on being in zone. So I'm like, I don't see us making the playoffs based off our defense.
Yeah.
I really don't. The defense is the Achilles heel.
Yeah, I agree. And, and that's been one of the biggest things for Philadelphia is just the fact that the defense themselves had taken a hit, injuries, not to mention inconsistencies. But that's why I felt like, the offense, they needed to get that in sync because that was the part that was kind of saving their behinds on several of their games so far this year. And even for some fun ones, like, yeah, they lucked out against the Chargers, but they managed to make it a really competitive game.
Same thing for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the only game that the Eagles got blown out in was against my Raiders. Outside of that,
Cowboys.
No, I'm talking about in our division in the AFC West.
Okay.
In the AFC West, I mean, y'all beat Denver, and then I think that's the only win y'all have in our division. Right?
Yeah.
So, but I can say that honestly, I think the Chiefs should have been a win for y'all. They a lot of calls got called back in that game. The Chargers game came down to the wire, and I mean, of course, my Raiders beat the bricks off you. I'm just going to say that, but I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, y'all right now,
well, and I
when it comes to it, yeah, the Eagles they in a better position than the Raiders right now. So,
well, here's the interesting thing though, because not only just the Eagles right now, like in the position if you look at how the division is, the Cowboys right now, because we know like where they're going to stand, they got an interesting game this weekend, and this is one that they can't afford to lose.
mm-hmm.
So you got Cowboys in Washington. So this is now the next couple of weeks where they're all in division games. Yep. That's the hardest that it could possibly be. Nobody's going to be worried about the Giants because the Giants have a lot of inconsistencies there.
Yes.
And so they're
we lost to the Giants. So what does that tell you?
But again, the Giants could be spoilers. Way
to make me feel better.
But but the other thing of it is they could be playing spoilers. But looking at the rest of the NFC, because this is where I think the remains of the schedule right now really all depend on, do they have enough of the backbone to really push themselves up into the playoffs? That's going to be tough to really predict. But have the Eagles players really bought into Nick Sirianni's play, like just his philosophy so far since, kind of the rocky start to this season?
I have to say yes and no. Because in the beginning, how in the beginning we weren't running the ball, players were upset and everything. Mm-hmm. And after the whole Flower press conference, after that whole shit, we went on 3-1. So I'm like, I don't understand what's in those flowers. I don't know that. But are they buying in it now? I don't know. Because with Gardner Minshew, they were running the ball. They were throwing it to other wide receivers. With Jalen Hurts, you only look at Devontae Smith, and they don't run the ball as much. Yeah. So it's just like it's mixed. It's mixed. So for me, Jalen Hurts is still our quarterback. I hate saying that, even though I question that time and time again. Yeah, I'm getting tired of this Minshew mania after this one game.
I'm sorry, but like I from what I've saw in the Jets game, I understand it's the Jets game.
Yeah,
but Gardner Minshew looked good.
He did.
He really did. And then the thing about it is, I said this in last week's game, and I said this to my father because my father's an Eagles fan as well. You got Zach Ertz. You got rid of Zach Ertz. You paid Dallas Goedert. You paid that man. You throw the ball to him like he just got paid. In that Giants game, y'all barely threw it to him. Gardner Minshew looked at him every time. So, I mean, it might be a Jalen Hurts thing that he's not really seeing Goddard, or it's a play calling thing. But if right now the receivers is not top notch, right now Goddard is your best receiver, in my opinion. Yeah. In my opinion. So to get Dallas Goedert going, it gets everybody else going. So
yeah, it's like an entire sync game. Yep.
Right. And that's why I feel like Gardner Minshew is a better fit right now because Jalen Hurts is banged up. I understand he's a dual threat. He's the RPO. But right now, you want to go off and ride that wave with Gardner Minshew, and you can make the playoffs with him.
Yeah, but I just can't see that. I need to see him against the Washington football team in that defense. Washington football team's on fire. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now, 4 or 5. So I need to see Gardner Minshew against that team and not
I
the
think
Jets.
I think you will, because if you look at the Washington football team, knowing that we lost to them, 17-15, it's a possibility. I mean, they struggled against us and we struggled against them as a Raiders fan. So like, even though that front seven is really good, but if y'all can establish a running game on them, and I think it's a possibility. It's really a possibility. But what my biggest concern about Philadelphia is like I said, your linebacking core. That's my only issue. You have a good front four, you have a nice little back end, but that middle of the field is what is your Achilles heel for your defense. Now, for the offense, like I said, wide receiver is really something that's a concern. Jalen Reagor is not the answer there. I'm not trying to be smart, but he's really not.
I agree. I really agree with that.
Watkins is good, Ward is okay, but everything in that nature is not really a true number one in Philadelphia. And that's what I think you're missing.
Yeah, I agree. We need to get a veteran wide receiver. We do. And with Howie Roseman as the GM, I don't see that happening. Like, we're in a tough predicament. Like, with the linebackers, I was actually talking about this with my friend the other day. Do you think we should have drafted Micah Parsons instead of Devontae Smith? Because if we drafted Micah Parsons, our linebackers should be great, but our wide receiver should be bad.
But this is I would love to answer that. I'm gonna let Jake answer that too. And in my opinion, I think you went with the right choice with Devontae Smith, because right now he's not a number one, but he will be your number.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even though you just gotta have a veteran on the opposite side of him that will roll the coverage to get him open, like what Adam Thielen did with Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. So and then what Philadelphia did was, even though you didn't get Micah Parsons, I know he was kind of one of the best linebackers in the draft, but you had a Jabril Cox, you had a Jamin Davis, you had a lot of people that came out of the draft that the Eagles looked over and they didn't really address the linebacker position. But Jake, what's your thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree about that, because the fact of, like, one, in the last couple of years for the Eagles, it's kind of like it's like a pendulum swing for them. Because the fact of the matter is, this was the inconsistencies, wide receiver and linebacker. That was the only thing that really hurt them the most. Because health was a big thing. I mean, you had a lot of these practice squad wide receivers that all of a sudden, when Carson Wentz is there, they turned him into like B+, A- wide receivers. But the point of it is, I think a veteran wide receiver at some point they're going to need to have to address, but that was no mistake of getting Devontae Smith, because they knew the last couple of drafts, you whiffed out on Justin Jefferson, you whiffed out on Devontae Adams, you whiffed out on a bunch of others. So
Metcalf,
yes. And that's the kind of the hard thing for Philadelphia. So they knew they needed to fix that up. Now the important thing is, do you get a veteran linebacker or do you address it in the draft, one or the other? I mean, I personally would say sign one and then draft one, because at least you're going to be having a veteran there and then build the next one on his way up. So I truly think that was not a mistake to going and getting a wide receiver in the draft, because that's what needed to be done. But now it's working on the other side where it's getting the linebackers involved, so that health's a big thing and production's a big thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, we missed out on JOK also. I wish we had him. Can you imagine?
I'm surprised there's several teams that have just whiffed on JOK until he just landed in
what round?
Cleveland. I think he was drafted in like the 3rd round, wasn't he?
3rd? Oh my God.
Because I think it was because of the injury issue. It was like an injury issue he had at Penn State. Yeah.
And we drafted Landon Dickerson.
Yeah. That's where I'm like, oh man. But at some point, Devontae Smith will be a number one wide receiver at some point. But I think having a veteran that kind of speaks in his ear a little bit more really helps out. And hey, I mean, is this the last of Jalen Reagor's contract? Or
I think it's got one more year. Maybe I'm
so
wrong.
Then my thought would be, if you could work up a trade to maybe potentially getting like at least a good piece linebacker there, then maybe at some point you can address something during, the off season. So there's possibilities there.
Yeah. I just don't trust Howie Roseman. That's it.
Yeah.
I really don't. We're going to have 3 first-round picks. I don't trust him with that.
Yeah.
Any GM would love to have that. Any GM. You can base your whole future with those 3 first-round picks.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting though, but I'd love to hear your take on the pick because Dallas against Washington. It's a tough game itself. We know it's in division.
Yeah.
Washington wins. Philadelphia might have a chance because that in division itself, I mean, Washington's got their reasons why that they want to be competitive, and so does Philadelphia. But if, of course, you know, we already know that if Dallas ends up winning that game against Washington, how do you think that game is going to end up coming out to? And then what's important for Philadelphia moving forward?
If Washington wins, because they are on a hot streak right now, if they win, they got the wild card spot.
Right.
I really think they got the wild card spot. I've been saying that for weeks now. For the Eagles to make it, you just got to win out. And I don't see us winning out against Washington and the Giants, Washington again, and then the Cowboys. Like, I don't even see that at all with this defense. And with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback, how he's been playing.
Oh, man. It'll be one interesting, you know, couple of weeks, though, especially as the NFL season starts to wind down. I'm very excited to see how that all kind of pans out. But, yeah, I truly think I'm with Anthony on that one. I feel like it's going to be close.
It's going to be very close. Yeah.
Knowing Dallas, I don't know why that they changed a lot of this inconsistent, like the ground and pound. It was working initially, and then all of a sudden they changed that schematic up, and now here they are. They're just now making it close. But I think it'll be tough. It'll be tough in the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, if we don't get a game plan for Washington in 2 weeks, I'm done. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, y'all better not get swept. Y'all better not get swept.
No.
I don't. It depends with this defense and Jonathan Gannon. I'm going to keep on saying that to the cows come home.
This is a good question right here. Is the NFC North now the weakest division?
No.
To me, the weakest division, and y'all might discredit me. I don't know if y'all might discredit me. For me, the weakest division in the NFL is the AFC South.
Really?
I think it's the AFC South because there is only, we all know every year the 2 good teams is the Colts and the Titans. We already know that. Jacksonville ain't doing nothing and the Texans ain't doing nothing. Every single year, as long as Deshaun Watson's not playing, the Texans will be bad.
Well, yeah, I mean they'll still be in a relevant franchise. You know, we knew this for years with Houston. You know, the time when they had the Matt Schaub era, and then now you had Deshaun Watson. Like, without him there, yes, they're very much an irrelevant franchise. But that's up to Houston of how they really want to, you know, control their destiny. But I agree, because the fact that the Colts are in a position where they are getting healthy. Yeah. And the Titans are just kind of wowing us with they're just wowing us right now without Derrick Henry in their offense. So
because I just saw something just come through, and I'm kind of like baffled with this. They said Detroit still has playoff hope.
No, they don't.
It says, according to NFL on CBS, how can the 10-1 Lions get into the playoffs?
No, stop.
I'm really glad you asked, because we have identified the path.
Oh my God.
Week 14 results. The Lions are going to have to beat the Broncos. Steelers have to beat the Vikings. Cowboys have to beat Washington. The Texans have to beat the Seahawks. Jets beat Saints. Panthers beat Falcons. Chargers beat the Giants. Bengals beat the 49ers. And Packers beat the Bears in week 14. Then you have week 15, where you had the Lions got to beat the Cardinals, which that's definitely out. The Eagles beat Washington. You have the Cowboys beat the Giants. You have the Bills beat the Panthers. Falcons beat 49ers. Rams beat Seahawks. Buccaneers beat Saints. Bears beat Vikings. Week 16, Lions got to beat the Falcons. I think the Lions can beat the Falcons. Falcons is not that great of a football team. Then you have the Titans beat the 49ers. Eagles beat Giants. Buccaneers beat Panthers. Rams beat Vikings. Seahawks beat Bears. Cowboys beat Washington. Dolphins beat Saints. Week 17. This is crazy. This is just insane. Lions beat Seahawks. Wow. I can see the Lions beating the Seahawks. Seahawks is just not that great of a football team. Panthers beat Saints. or Panthers and Saints in a tie. What?
What are you
my
reading?
God.
Eagles beat Washington, Bills beat Falcons, Texans beat 49ers, and Packers beat the Vikings. And then week 18 results, the Lions got to beat the Packers, Saints beat the Falcons, Giants beat Washington, Buccaneers beat Panthers again, Vikings beat the Bears again, and Rams beat the 49ers. So the Lions would clinch the playoffs at 6-10-1 if that happens.
Oh my God.
So basically, they have to win out and hope on miracles.
Yeah, they have to.
I'm
like that.
I'm going to send this to the group chat and see what
They-
say.
Oh my God.
They need to like literally like chew on kneecaps. They need to basically bring an actual lion in every time to like scare off their opponents and hope the planet's a lion. I don't know. Like,
Wait, so if the Lions could possibly make the playoffs, what
They'll
about
make
the
the
Bears?
At 6-10-1.
What about the Bears
Yeah.
then?
Don't know.
oh God. No, I think Bear, like honestly, Goolie would probably agree to this, but Bears fans just want the season to be over. They're tired of just the excruciating injuries and all this stuff.
And Matt Nagy, yeah.
Yeah. That's where and the McCaskies, that just needs to
Oh
be
my
done.
God.
That just needs to be done. But anyway,
Just let you
as-
know, I sent it to the group chat. You know who the first one that said something, right?
of
King,
course.
Are
of
you
course.
ishing me?
Oh my God.
As always good to talk with you, Mitch. Where can everybody find you on your social medias to get you involved in everything Philadelphia Eagles and Sixers?
Well, you can find me on YouTube, on Mitch Kofsky, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all that. You can find me a part of Spotlight Sports Network. I have my own show on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern called MK Headlines, where we talk Eagles, Sixers, have debates, and all that stuff. So, yeah, you can find me there.
All right.
All right, and make sure y'all check out MK Headlines every Tuesday from 5:30 to 7. If you want to call up to the show, make sure you call up to the show. The link is definitely in the description if you want to subscribe to Philly Talk with MK. Let's go.
And not to mention keeping you up to date with Fadeaway Podcasts as well, because we all know you guys always are on fire when it comes to NBA sports talks. Like, we love this stuff. So
Yeah.
take care of yourself, Mitch. Good to have you up on here, and good luck to the rest of the season for the Eagles. And we'll find out what's going on in the NBA world at some point soon, the next couple of weeks. Take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, peace. Thank you, guys.
All right, no problem, man.
No, and he's truly right about that, because the fact that, you know, the Sixers are just absolutely done with Ben Simmons. We know this for sure. But it's not speaking crazy, because I said this before that, you know, maybe they can't get Lillard, but they can certainly get themselves CJ McCollum. There's a way to do all of this. And by the way,
I'm kind of nervous about getting CJ McCollum now since he collapsed. He had a collapsed lung.
No, that's true. And
yeah, that's kind of concerning for me.
And the other part is, the Pacers have now officially put themselves on rebuild mode. I mean, they should have been. Like, they had no business being up into the playoffs. They had no business of doing any of this stuff. So that means LeVert, Miles Turner, and Domantas Sabonis, they're open. So however that, you know, Indiana's going to do this kind of stuff, I've been saying that. Like, if you're going to be like this, then rebuild. Because why would you want to linger on all these players when you know that you can get yourself a really good market for them? And then at the same time, like, at least Indiana fans could have a clear picture of what the hell they're doing. Like, I mean, I could see Sabonis be a very valuable piece to I truly think he could be a valuable piece to Boston. But
who Ben Simmons?
No, Sabonis.
Oh, yeah.
I think he could. I because they need consistency.
Right.
Boston's consistency is just way out of whack. And they know they had the potentials with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but it's out of whack.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So, well, other than that, as always, all of our odds are provided by SuperDraft Pro. For those of you who don't know what SuperDraft is all about, it's more than just an app. You guys can definitely play up on there. You get paid to play free games on SuperDraft Pro. But not only that, you get to share it with your friends, family, and coworkers. And it's a big time daily fantasy sporting app that every one of them, like I was up in California and I was up in a couple of contests and they were so much fun. And you could buy your way into contests and even get yourself under a subscription to all of these contests. So I could be playing up to about close to 8 contests in a single day of the week. But all of our odds are provided by SuperDraft Pro Sports Book. Definitely download it on your mobile device through Google Play in the App Store or sign up online at SuperDraftPro.com. Proud sponsors of Caesars Entertainment. It's that time again, Darion, on our best for last of this hour. The Week 14 prime predictions, man.
We're skipping the hot press?
Yeah, we're skipping the hot press here upon this one because
So you still want me to play your hot press music or what?
Actually, I've got music that'll definitely hype us up over here with this
because we're not on the same page. You're supposed to send me that music, man.
I know I'm gonna send you that music, man, for sure. But I love it. I'm just excited about this. I seriously am. But anyway, let's definitely get this rolling. NFL prime predictions. Here we go. Let's turn it up. It's Jake's prime predictions. Steelers at Vikings. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. You think I'm crazy about this game. Okay, first of all, I know what I'm getting out of both offenses. Okay, both offenses are not that sexy. By the way, Minnesota is without Adam Thielen. So that means KJ Osborne's going to get up more opportunities to get in the football, but I think it's going to be more reliant on Justin Jefferson. By the way, Pittsburgh's defense has had wear and tears, and they have had the last couple of games I've watched with Pittsburgh. It's a sorry offense. At the same time, defense has been tired. This is Minnesota's opportunity to really sneak in a win here, and Pittsburgh being on the road, they're going to be in not only just cold weather, but they're going to be in an environment where Minnesota, they got to get this game. And so I feel like Minnesota could steal this one away. Dalvin Cook may be back. And as far as for Adam Thielen's health, they'll be a little bit more with Justin Jefferson and also with Tyler Conklin. So I'm going to go with the Vikings to win here. 27-23. Take the -3 here for Minnesota to go with this win. Raiders at Chiefs. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs here up on this one, -9. Hate to say this, but
go ahead, because I'm picking the Chiefs as well.
Well, here's what's interesting about the Kansas City Chiefs. First of all, in the last couple of games that they've had, Patrick Mahomes has been having an off year, but that doesn't matter. Kansas City's defense has actually turned things up now in the last couple of weeks they've played. It's gotten better. It's not great, but they've trusted a lot of their components and they've gotten better. Kansas City knows exactly how to work all their components. So, and as far as for the Raiders are concerned, this is a tough point for them because they're coming off of a bad loss. They're coming off of where, this performance is, this is what I've been talking about, inconsistencies with the Raiders, because they need to have everybody up in sync. And I don't feel like right now we're seeing a lot of those problems. So
and I just want to throw this in real quick. The Raiders have been checked out since the Giants game. Since Henry Ruggs has got the accident, the Raiders has been checked out. Period. Yeah. So I don't see the Raiders winning this game at all. I think it's going to be bigger than a 9-point spread.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It may be bigger, but I'm going to take that -9, and I'll go with the final score 30-20 in that game. Saints at Jets. I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints here. Now, by the way, good news for Saints fans. Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara were full participants in practice with the knee and the finger injury. Now, Taysom Hill, it's questionable as far as the start with the quarterback position because of the fact of having that finger issue. But Alvin Kamara is exactly a full go with the knee injury. So at least Saints fans can be excited that he'll be back and healthy, especially against a young Jets team. Zach Wilson will be out on the field. I think this is going to be just an interesting game. So I think New Orleans might pull this one out. I'm going to take them to win 27-21, and take the minus 5.5 here in this game on the road in New York.
Yeah, I'll take that as well.
Cowboys at Washington. I feel like this is an interesting game of the week if you're an NFC East fan. I'm going to take the Cowboys here, minus 4.5. Look, I know Washington is brittled up right now with injuries, but at the same time, they've been riding a really good streak. Taylor Heineke's been looking really good. I think they've only suffered like one loss at least in their streak. But Dallas needs to start to ground and pound more, because that's what's been clicking for them in the first 5 weeks of the season. And for whatever reason, they haven't been like that. So especially as how high the stakes are in an NFC East matchup like this, I think Dallas is going to want to end up getting payback.
Right.
Now, this is tough because in divisions in these next couple of weeks will be interesting to decide who wants the division more, but not only that, but who wants the playoff spot more. And I think Dallas, I think they could figure that out, and I think they'll go back to exactly what they were in the first 5 weeks. I'm going to take them to win 27-20 against Washington. It'll be a fun, entertaining game, but don't be surprised if Taylor Heineke pulls something off that a lot of us didn't really expect. 27-24.5. I take the Cowboys here.
Oh, you're taking the Cowboys. Surprising.
Yeah, but I do think it'll be an interesting close game, though.
Yeah.
Seahawks at Texans. Kind of a snoozer here at this point, but I'm going to take the Seahawks to win 7.5. Look, Houston, we already know where they're sitting at. And Seattle right now, there's too many inconsistencies. But Russell Wilson is the reason why that Seattle still kind of sticks the glue. But I don't think this is quite a mismatch. Now, by the way, Houston did, in fact, release that Zach Cunningham has been released. So that's going to expose their linebacking core. Zach Cunningham, he's been getting a couple of offers now as a free agent after this was supposed to be like a 4-year deal that he signed. So I think maybe more of the midfield game could be an issue for Houston. So that's why I'm going to take Seattle 7.5 and win this game up 30-20 on the road, knowing with the news that the Texans had without Zach Cunningham. Falcons at Panthers. People are going to call me crazy, and I know for a fact that I'm crazy for even pointing this out, but I'm going to take the Falcons. Okay, ooh. I know the Falcons are snake bitten when it comes to, to sports bets. Nobody trusts them. I don't trust them. But I have seen this kind of charade before between the Falcons and the Panthers. Right. And the last few times, the Falcons have been pulling off something very, very interestingly. Now, it'll be interesting to see how Matt Ryan in the offense really plays up here. But Carolina right now, inconsistencies with their quarterback situation. Not to mention, too, the offense hasn't really been getting going. Christian McCaffrey is just injury prone. And so this is kind of a mess right now for Carolina. And here's the other thing. They also fired their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. So that means
I thought was dumb.
So did I. But here's the thing, though. It's no surprise because Dave Tepper is he's very a competent owner. He doesn't want to build. He wants to see successes right off the gate. So that's why I think Atlanta might sneak a game here at plus 2.5. Like it. I love it. Do I trust it? Not as much, but I do like the point spread at least 2.5. So I'm going to make this a close game, 23-21. I just think this is going to be a mess. Ravens at Browns. I'm going to take the Browns here in this game. Listen, the last couple of weeks for Baltimore fans, I've been kind of concerned of their offense. This offense has not been the same so far. And by the way, a lot of their points now, they've been scoring up to about 18 points on their offense. That's kind of, that is all like, that just gives you eyebrows up. Like, it shocks you. And there's a concerned face as well. But the Browns defense, have still been playing really, really good, despite the fact of all that's happening in their quarterback position. I don't think right now, and by the way, Baltimore lost Marlon Humphrey for the season.
That's going to hurt.
That is going to hurt. So that means Jarvis Landry and a couple of other wide receivers, they might have a field day. But it could be interesting one way or the other, but I do think Cleveland might get their payback here. 24-21 is my final score. It still will be close because, again, I don't trust AFC North matchups all that much, but I think the Browns could do it at -2.5.
Just nervous of Baker Mayfield and all his injuries as well.
Oh, I know. Jaguars at Titans. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans here at -8.5. Jacksonville, you already know, it's a rebuilding team. We understand that, like, Jacksonville, it's been fun watching Trevor Lawrence just throughout the season. But Tennessee, they're going to try to rebound themselves back. Now, of course, Julio Jones is going to be back from injury, but they still have at least some concerns of their wide receivers. But they're very Ryan Tannehill reliant at this point. So
they'll definitely bounce back this game.
Yeah, they'll need to bounce back up here in this game. I'm going to take them to win 27-17 in this AFC South matchup. 8.5. I like the point spread.
Yeah, I do too.
Lions at Broncos. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos at home -8.5. It's reasonable. First of all, Detroit, I understand that they're used to cold, but I don't think they're used to altitude either when you're out there in Denver. It's tough to play in that type of weather, but by the way, Teddy Bridgewater has looked pretty good so far. He hasn't looked great, but there has been inconsistencies as far as the offense goes, but they're very defensive reliant. They know that if the defense stops the offense, that it'll dismantle them. So I think Denver at home, and knowing with Vic Fangio, because we thought Vic Fangio was going to be on his way out, but it doesn't look like that could be the case for Denver. And Detroit, great, you got your first win of the season, but I don't see them really beating Denver on the road. That's just tough in this type of altitude. So I'm going to take Denver to win 28-20 at home. I'll take the 8.5.
I think you're giving the benefit of the doubt with that Denver defense looking good.
I know, right? Seriously. Giants at Chargers. So this was tough because of the fact of, look at this. This is -10. Now, the Giants don't know who their quarterback is because we don't know if it's Mike Lennon or if it's Jake Fromm. They did make it clear that they have not made a decision yet for their quarterback. So I'm going to take the Chargers -10. First of all, Keenan Allen has been put on COVID protocols, but that means that there's going to be more opportunities for Mike Williams and also for Jalen Guyton also. But I do think that right now, the Chargers, and especially for Justin Herbert right now has been playing really, really good football in the last couple of weeks. Now, people may not believe that. Yes, of course, he had a bad game against Denver, but outside of that, he's still considered in the MVP race. So there is a lot to like about this with the Chargers offense. I think they'll have a really, really good day against the Giants. I'm going to take them to win 33-17 at home. But again, the Giants defense, they might pull something out. I don't know what Joe Judge has in stake, but I think the Chargers might win this one. I like that -10.
Right.
49ers at Bengals. So this is interesting that this is an underdog, but I'm going to take the underdog Cincinnati Bengals at +1.5. I know San Francisco is getting healthy, but if you're facing against Joe Burrow and that offense themselves, I mean, they had a really, really good week. And Joe Burrow looks a lot like himself. He's not afraid to run, by the way. Just because of that knee, that ACL injury, he's not afraid to run.
Yeah,
I think this will be a competitive game. Now, Cincinnati does need to figure out how they're going to contain Nick Bosa and a lot of these edge rushers, even Eric Armstead. But I think the 49ers, I do like their potentials, but I think this is too good to pass up on an underdog. So I think if 49ers win, that'll say much that the 49ers, they're not out yet. I think they might look at the next couple of weeks and they'll need to put up a streak. But I'm going to take Cincinnati and take the 1.5 on this game and make it 23-21. God, that's such a close game, but I can't pass up on an underdog like that.
Right.
Bills at Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills as an underdog plus 3.5. First of all, you don't get embarrassed at home against New England like that. First of all. But the point with Tampa Bay is defensively, they've been playing to their liking, but there's still some concerns as far as the Hells on the backfield. Now, obviously, Buffalo, they were not prepared for what New England's defense was. Maybe this might give them a little bit of a break. So I think Stephon Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders might rebound themselves and try to see what they can do against Tampa's defense. But ultimately, I mean, Buffalo has to say the same on their defense also against Tom. So I think this will be an interesting one, an underdog game for sure. 28-24 is my final score. I think Buffalo is going to really reverse what happened last week against New England, and I think they'll get the job done at +4. Bears at Packers. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers here in this one. I mean, this is just so much inconsistency right now with Chicago at this point.
Justin Fields is cleared too.
He is. Yeah, Justin Fields is cleared. He's been practicing. So that's a good positive nod. But besides all of that, Chicago, they just want the season to end right now. There's just so much that's happening with the Bears, with their offense and their defense. I just think right now, just not going to look good. I think Green Bay is just going to be walking all over them. And Chicago's just going to be walking on eggshells. So I'm going to take the Packers to win outright 35-20 on that -12. Rams at Cardinals. I like this Monday night matchup, but I do think the Cardinals have something to say against the LA Rams. First of all, since the OBJ acquiring, this has been a completely different offense. This is why Robert Woods is so valuable to this Rams offense.
That's a fact.
Even with Cooper Kupp. So I do think that the Cardinals, because of the way that they're playing and with the experiences on their defense, is going to cause a lot of problems for Matthew Stafford. This was the concern people had for the Rams. So I think right now we are witnessing that. And I think the Cardinals, knowing this is an in-division matchup, this is very important for them. So I think they're going to win this one and win this one big, knowing it's a Monday night game, 30-27. I love it. I love the fact that it's only giving me 3, but that's more than enough that I would need against a Rams team. They just need to find their identity. They really, really do. So I think the Cardinals will win this one. All right, so that is your prime predictions right there. So all above, I've got a lot of favorites up in here: Vikings, Chiefs, Saints, Cowboys, Seahawks, Browns, Titans, Broncos, Chargers, Packers, and the Cardinals, and then a couple underdogs in the middle of it: Bills, Bengals, and the Falcons. Now, again, I don't like to touch this game with the Falcons, and of course, you know, and even the Browns in the Ravens game, but I just have a feeling that the Browns will end up winning that game out, knowing the inconsistencies of Baltimore, and the Falcons might sneak that one over past Carolina. But ultimately, I do love that Monday night game. I think that Monday night game, super competitive, but it's going to tell you a lot about, if you're the Rams, what do you do? Because now without their tough component, I love Cooper Kupp, but this is part of the reason why the Robert Woods was such a valuable piece. So, and OBJ is just not the answer. So this has completely changed this offense. So I think they've lost a lot of their identity, and they got to find some way to get it back. So I like it. I like these picks. So
Yeah, I do too.
I think this will be interesting to see how week 14 really pans out, but I think this will be good. Well, folks, as always, Jake the Snake Silva and, of course, Darion signing off. We really do appreciate every single one of you guys. And if you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, hit the bell button for all latest notifications as we were live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and so much more. Also on Instagram. So definitely follow us. We appreciate your guys' love and support, and also rep up for the Spotlight Sports Network as a whole with all of our merchandises, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, and sweats, and so much more that you can find here on the Spotlight Sports Network merchandise section, powered by Spreadshirt.
Yep.
Oh, man. You ready to close us out, man? Like usual.
Yeah, I'm ready to close this out, man. Make sure y'all comment, like, and subscribe to the Snake Sports Talk Show. The road to 1K for him is definitely there, so the link is in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the Spotlight Sports Network. We're on the road to 1,500 subscribers over here on the Spotlight Sports Network. Make sure you go to spotlightsportsgear.com. Get your merch for the holidays. We will be having holiday discounts come out really, really soon. And I want to shout out to Donte, because Donte is Coach Donte is the number one seller on the Spotlight Sports Gear. So shout out to him for that. And peace, love, and blessings to everyone. Make sure you stay safe. We'll see y'all next Monday, same time, same place, all here on the Spotlight Sports Network and Snake Sports Talk Show. We love y'all. Peace, love, blessings. We're out of here.
See you guys soon.